Hi, everyone. Just to acknowledge, I do see that we're on. I'm just waiting for a couple more people to join the session, and then we'll get started. Okay, well, welcome back. Fun fact, I used to want to be kind of a TV host when I was younger. After doing this for today, I'm like, yeah, this is not my gig, but I'm so happy to do this with you today, Ben. I'm excited to introduce Ben Carroll. He's the Director of Customer Experience at the Cloud Connectors, and he'll share with us how organizations can benefit by simplifying integrations. Ben has more than 20 years of experience in the HCM space, having worked at Taleo, Oracle, Coveo, and lately became the Cloud Connectors Customer Experience Director. And with that, it's my pleasure to hand things over to Ben.
Thank you, Angela. Let me go ahead and set up my share here. And if you could please verify that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Awesome. So thank you all for taking the time to attend our talk. As Angela said, my name is Ben Carroll, and I'm the Director of Customer Experience at the Cloud Connectors, and we're the premier integration platform for the enterprise HR market. I'm here to talk about the benefits of simplifying your integrations by leveraging mature offerings that are available in the open market. In short, my message today is that you don't need to reinvent all of your own tools, that you can instead focus on your company's primary offerings, and that the specific tool set that we're here to talk about is integration platforms, even more specifically, ones tuned for the HR technology stack. I'm here today with my colleagues, Jeff Tremblay, Pierre Rousseau, JP Ouellette, and Bernard Thibodeau. They're the leadership team at the Cloud Connectors, and we're all available to answer any questions you have in the chat as you watch this presentation. Additionally, we're also available at the virtual conference hall. Please make sure to stop by our virtual booth by going to the event website and clicking on the exhibit hall, and you'll see our logo there. So let's get started and let's talk about you. Your company has offerings, one or more products or services. Let's simplify your business plan and say you make wooden wagons. What makes your wagon special? There are a lot of possibilities. It could be the quality, the design, the components you use, or even if your wagon isn't completely unique, there could be other reasons you're a successful wainwright. It could be that you provide great service to ensure loyalty, or that you've got special processes to deliver efficiency and consistency so people know what they're going to get. Or it could be something about the tools that you use to build your products or to support those processes. Some of these elements need to be proprietary in order to ensure that your company is a standout success, and some don't. In a context of finite resources, you have to focus your time, your effort, and your capital on those elements which will get you the greatest return. So let's take the example of the tools you use to build your products and support your processes. You want high quality tools. If your saw won't stay sharp, or if your level isn't level, your product, your wagons will suffer. You want the right tools for the job. If you're using a screwdriver as a chisel, it's going to cease to be either after not too long. And sometimes, if you can't find the tool you need, of the quality you need, at the price you need, in order to make your product the way you want to, this means you might need to innovate in that space and create your own tools. But this is typically going to be the exception rather than the rule. Now, why is that? Why wouldn't you custom make all of your tools? Well, it's a distraction from your goals. There's a cost to develop these tools, cost to produce them, maintain them, and support them. And again, you want to focus on building your product. If the tools you need already exist and are available at a level of quality and at a price which will allow you to do that focus, that's the choice you want to make. So let's leave the wagon example aside and talk about part of the infrastructure your company has in place to help ensure that you realize your strategic goals, and that's your HR organization. Just like our Wainwrights, your HR team has a set of offerings. They provide a wide range of services, including recruiting, talent management, payroll compensation, and maintaining a healthy, productive, motivated work environment. HR uses tools in order to provide these services. Applicant tracking, screening services, performance management systems, payroll systems, and more, right? And not long ago, the HR technology sector was really defined by a handful of monolithic suites, which centralized the great majority of functionality into a core set of one-size-fits-all solutions. More recently, in the last decade or so, the ecosystem of small, specialized HR products and services has exploded, meaning that your HR organization has the ability to choose tools that are best suited to your company, your workforce, your culture. Once, many of these types of services would have to be built in-house or custom commissioned, but now they're available as products, so you don't have to build them yourself. The suite options, of course, still exist and are, in some cases, for at least some of their functionality, still a great fit for your organization. But now you can choose other solutions for those parts of the suite that don't quite fit your needs. One of the chief benefits of a monolithic solution is that nominally everything works together right out of the box. When you're mixing and matching, you need to bind those solutions together with integrations. So integrations are one of those key tools that help your HR team to accomplish its goals. Now, one thing you can do if you're not interested in integrations is you can just skip that automated integration process altogether. You can have your team manually copy data from one system to another. But this sort of brute force solution isn't usually a good use of your team's time and energy, and it's definitely not a good way to ensure that your talent is fully engaged and excited about what they're doing. Now more than ever, digital automation of many HR management tasks is the way to go, both for the present and to prepare for the challenges and opportunities to come. For many reasons, including the changes that have come due to the pandemic, remote work is now and will remain a component of the new normal going forward. Managing resources at a distance, the perennial shortage of highly skilled employees, and changes in jobs need structure itself. This all implies that there will be a greater trend towards the use of a diverse and growing array of services like e-learning, talent sourcing, skills and personality assessments, background checks, virtual interviews, and more, mostly done at a distance. Once upon a time, building those integrations was something that required in-house expertise and infrastructure, and each one needed to be custom built at great expense. Even with the support of the likely top-tier talent in your IT group, developing this sort of configuration to tie together this array of services is a challenge in and of itself. But in order to get the results your business needs, you have to find a way to make it happen. So let's break down this point a bit and talk about your options, which are, in broad strokes, building it yourself, using pre-built integration modules that come with the HRIS systems that you're currently running, using a one-size-fits-all integration solution, and using an integration platform that's purpose-built around connecting your HR tech stack. And we'll talk about each of these, but I'm interested in hearing from you about your experience. So I'm going to ask a few questions. And if you could put your answers into the chat, that would be awesome. So question one, which of these options are you currently considering? Or if you have an in-flight integration project that you finished recently, which of these options have you recently pursued? And again, if you could put any answers you have in the chat, that'd be really great. Next question. What are some of the challenges, the costs you have to consider when you're building a net new integration? Give you a couple seconds to put your answer in the chat. All right, and question three, what are the costs, again, the challenges in addition to just pure dollar value to consider with regards to maintaining and extending your integrations once they've been built? Go ahead and put your estimates in the chat and we'll share what we found in a few seconds here. All right, so now that you've had a moment to give your responses, I'll go over the answers based on the data from the industry and our own experience. If you're going to be using integration infrastructure that will allow you to have connections between your systems that are easy to use, maintain, and scale, there's a significant amount of investment required to make that work. Building that infrastructure so that each effort is not just a one-off could take multiple years and millions of dollars in research and development. In addition to the infrastructure required, the time to build each integration correlates with the expertise of the teams building that integration in question. In many cases, we've seen projects which might take an IT team over 6 months to build, achievable in 6 to 12 weeks with a team that has deep experience in the HR tech platforms that are being connected. Once your integrations are up and running, they need to be maintained as well, with all that implies with regards to infrastructure, software licenses, and teams with the expertise to do that work. And so let's go through those options. First of all, we'll start off with building it yourself. With all the implications of cost and complexity that I've just detailed, most companies aren't going to want to build everything from scratch. The opportunity cost is too great. You want your team focused on the high value strategic goals. The second option is pre-built modules, and many of the same limitations apply when you're looking at integration modules that are pre-built into your current HRIS applications. But there are some other complexities to consider as well. The idea here is that some of these systems have pre-built functionality that allows them to interface with each other. If this is the case with the systems you're currently using to accomplish your HR goals, then that's great. But there are a few things to keep in mind. Many of these out-of-the-box solutions have limited flexibility, perhaps locked to a specific set of fields and data transformations. So if you need something different, that out-of-the-box solution might not work for you. And then using an out-of-the-box solution sometimes adds unintended vendor lock-in. If you've got system A for your ATS and system B for onboarding, and they talk to each other just fine, then that's great until you want to switch, say, to system C for your ATS. If system B doesn't talk to system C, then you've got a much more significant cost in order to switch to the new ATS, and this additional friction could prevent or at least delay your access to critical new functionality that this new ATS could provide. Finally, if you want to expand your toolkit, say with a new payroll system, system D, you may find that the extant systems don't have out-of-the-box support. So again, you'll have to revisit your integration strategy anyway. Basically, all of this comes down to the fact that while point-to-point integrations might be a good short-term win, going that route can have unintended consequences down the road. And we'll talk more about this in a bit. All right, so the next level up would be to look at generic all-purpose integration platforms. And there are a variety of generic one-size-fits-all integration platforms available, and some of them are really easy to use. Some may even come with some of these pre-built modules for problems similar to what your HR team needs. As with the pre-built modules that are built into your HR system vendors applications, if you find what you need here at the right price, this might be the solution for you. The challenge with these types of vendors who are catering to the broader integration market rather than focusing on HR is really twofold. The ones that are simple to use and inexpensive typically lack flexibility. If you need to pass a custom field to your onboarding system from your ATS, or even a standard field that isn't supported by the integration, it may simply be impossible to make that change. So even if it works great on day one, when you need to make a change, you'll have to go back to the drawing board. The ones with the greatest flexibility are often challenging to learn and to use and don't have native support for HR systems. So if you want to export a set of data that requires recursive calls, say detailed jobs data from a Workday system, the generic integration platform will require you to write the complex logic that allows you to build the dependent queries that will build the structure from all the object relationships in that system's data universe. In a lot of cases, this means that the effort required to create these integrations, and thus the cost, as well as the effort required to maintain and extend them, isn't much of a benefit over building them from scratch. The key here is that one size fits all is not the ideal approach. Even if a generic integration platform is perfect for some solutions implemented in various areas of your organization, you'll want to consider its strengths and weaknesses with each type of integration you build. And this is especially true in the HR tech stack. All right, so this is where HR-focused platforms like the cloud connectors come in. With decades of experience in HR, we understand how HR systems work and the kinds of operations your team needs in order to be able to support their processes. What this means is that in a context of that Workday example I was just talking about in our system, you can get the exact information you need with a 15-line query. Behind the scenes, our system takes the complexity of that query, and in the end, it turns out that what you need, to get what you need, you would have had to have generated over 500 individual queries. If you look at the bottom left corner of the screen, you can see in our logs from this exact query, you can see that that generated 506 requests to get the information that you needed. In a generic platform, your workflow would have had to manage each and every one of those transactions. With an HR-focused integration platform, you know how it all works. You build what you need and you're off and running. And Workday is really just one example. A great HR-focused integration platform will be able to provide that sort of scalable support to a wide range of HR tech products and extend that support to new products quickly and easily. At the cloud connectors, because of our investment in this arena, our typical lead time to build a new connector or extend an existing one to support new API features is just 1 to 2 weeks. Another thing to consider when looking at your HR integration platform is the human factor. Beyond pure tech savvy, you'll want to partner with a vendor whose team is built of people with a history in the sector, so they'll understand the challenges you're trying to resolve and the best path to achieving your desired outcomes. The Cloud Connectors was built from the ground up by people who've been in the HR sector for most of their careers and who can hit the ground running when building a solution and supporting your team. One of the key factors of a mature integration platform versus building standalone point-to-point integrations, as I talked about when we were discussing using integrations built into your existing platforms or building one-offs in-house. One of the key differentiating factors is the ability to isolate different sections of the integration into their constituent components, allowing you to swap out one part without having to rebuild everything. So let's say your tech stack is built around Workday, like we were talking about earlier, but you're using Taleo for your applicant tracking. Not only do you have a connection between Taleo and Workday, but as part of your candidate application workflow, you probably have integrations with background check providers, remote interview systems, assessments, and regulatory services. And once a candidate becomes an employee and is onboarded into your Workday system, they'll need to be able to interact with other sorts of systems like performance management, engagement tracking. And some of these systems may need to interact with both Workday and Taleo, like certain types of assessments. Finally, one of the key decision-making tools your HR team relies on is analytics. So if you want good data, you're going to have to connect your BI to multiple systems. At this point, point-to-point becomes a mess. With the cloud connectors, each system you connect to is just one spoke in a hub and spoke collection, and each integration is built such that before the incoming data leaves a source spoke, it's transformed into a canonical format that's easy to accept at the destination. What this means is that if you were to take the stack we've built and one day you decide to replace your ATS, say switching out Taleo for iCIMS, updating your interactions would take half as much effort or less compared to replacing all of the point-to-point integrations that you would have built otherwise. Next, let's talk about participation in the larger HR tech community. The Cloud Connectors has not only built integrations with hundreds of platforms, but we've also worked with a wide variety of HR integration consultants who use our tools to provide their services. Additionally, for a number of platforms you may be considering, If they have built-in integrations, it's possible. They may be leveraging the cloud connectors to provide it. When you're choosing a provider for your HR integrations, you'll want to know that they've got these relationships in order to ensure that they're able to be leaders in the sector and stay ahead of your needs rather than playing a constant game of catch up. Next, of course, customer satisfaction isn't specific to HR integrations, but it's an important factor when you're choosing an integration vendor because past performance is the best predictor of future performance. And that's something that we're really proud of here at the Cloud Connectors. Our Net Promoter Score is an amazing 91%, and it's been consistently at 90% or over for several years. And why is that? There's our platform, our experience, our dedication to your success. These all contribute to this number. If you've got any questions about HR integrations, please let us know. If you've got any questions about us as a service provider, please check out our reviews on G2 or reach out to us, and we'll be happy to connect you with customers who can tell you all about their experience working with the Cloud Connectors. Another thing that's not specific to HR is security. In a world where hackers are on a constant hunt for opportunities to capture and exploit personal data, making sure that your integration vendor has the best available security is a key decision factor. At the Cloud Connectors, we're dedicated to the security of your data as is exemplified by our SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. Don't accept anything less from your integration provider. And finally, data residency. If your company operates in one or more countries that has data residency regulations, you'll need to work with a vendor who can support those regulations. The Cloud Connectors runs on AWS infrastructure. So we are wherever they are. If you need to stay in one region, we can support you in doing that, no matter how many regions that applies to for your organization. So if you needed a wheel, you probably wouldn't reinvent it. If you needed an office suite, you wouldn't commission an internal team to build it. In both cases, you'd buy the best available product from a vendor who can meet your needs. Your HR team needs integrations to efficiently automate their processes. Get the best integration available and talk to an integration vendor whose platform is purpose-built to meet those needs. We're the Cloud Connectors, and that's what we do. Let us know how we can help. So thank you again for your time, and we'll take questions in the chat. And of course, remember to visit our virtual booth.
Thank you, Ben. So I do have some questions if you're open.
Yes.
So here's the first question. We've been allowing different departments to run their own systems for years. A lot of them were acquired through mergers and acquisitions, and they came with their own IT, and we just let them keep doing what they were doing. A lot of time we just ask them to dump stuff into an spreadsheet. I'm laughing because that's what I do. A lot of time we just ask them to dump stuff into an Excel spreadsheet and to share between organizations. Is there really a way to untangle all of this and get people onto one common source of data where we can access and update in real time?
Absolutely. I mean, I love this question because we've seen this multiple times. And I guess the first thing I'd like to say is you're not alone. And I'm so glad that you asked the question because we can help. Basically, whether the data is coming from a system that actually has a built-in API that we can connect to, or if it's something that can have just like a scheduled export to a CSV file, which if they're exporting to Excel, obviously it has that capability. If you can do that, then we can grab that data, we can transform it the way you need it, and then we can feed it into the newer system. So that is really a great opportunity.
So a question, what does getting started on something like this look like? Can you walk us through what a typical pilot project or rollout would be or what it would look like?
Yeah, so there are a few ways to get started. We offer our services as integration as a service where we can do the full suite of consulting and managing for you. We also have an iPaaS, an integration platform as a service, where basically if you've got a talented team of consultants in-house who could take our tools and use them, you could build them that way. Again, that's something you'd only want to consider if that's really interesting to you, but we can build that for you. And basically what it would start off with is we'd check in, understand what the systems are that we're trying to connect, what the data structures are that we're trying to move from one place to the other and possibly back again, and then what the transformations need to be to make the business processes work for you. So you'd be working with a consultant to build that data map, to make sure that we've got our connectors either ready at the start or within, as I mentioned, 1 to 2 weeks after the process starts, and then we'd build it for you, set up a schedule, and it would be running.
Okay. Another question: is there such a thing as an easy win or low-hanging fruit where we could start there and prove to other people that this is the way to go?
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to you in more detail, and so would my team, about the specific challenges you're looking at, so we can identify the specific easy win. Without knowing exactly what you're dealing with, I don't have a perfect example off the top of my head, but we can definitely do small integrations to get you started and then move from there.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our Q&A session. If you have more questions for Ben, please message him in the portal. Next up is networking with speakers, delegates, and sponsors you want to speak with. And then there's going to be 5 more interactive think tanks beginning at 2:15 Eastern Standard Time, and a few roundtable discussions taking place at 2:25 Eastern Standard Time. Feel free to choose a topic that interests you the most and sign into the appropriate group conversation. There's also your opportunity to visit the virtual trade show floor. I think, Ben, you're there, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And get more information on our exclusive sponsors. We will reconvene at 3:15 for a terrific keynote presentation with Gina Smith on spearheading innovation through workforce diversity. See you then.
Thank you.